CIU Nation, CIU podcast, Kabbalah Nation. Good evening, good morning. We are here with another edition of our podcast. This is Dr. Williams, and I'm talking to Dr. Johnson. And we're just going to be talking about some of the things happening in the system, what people think. I know one thing that come about, people think about is judge shopping. We talk about judges that are being appointed by an administration, a president, and then because of particular political leaning, they may take their ruling may be based on that. We've seen, especially what happened in the Supreme Court, 6-3 and 6 Republican appointed judges and 3 liberal judges at their call. But we want to just look at the whole thing as we discuss. We talk about in our courts, federal courts, the case which discuss all of these things, and one of the things we talk about is in the Constitution itself. The Constitution only allocates one court, the Superior Court. The Supreme Court is the only one that is highlighted in the Constitution. The rest of the court system are actually developed by the Congress, congressional legislature developed set up these court system based on the need of the jurisdiction and set up others in lower courts. So we have the lower courts, and then we have the appeal, the trial court, and then the appeal courts. And then we have, the Supreme Court, the 3 layers. So the Constitution talks about one court system, and then we have, these judges that are set up because the Congress, allocated these different courts, selected these different courts, and also fund them. But these courts, these judges have to be appointed by the president. So when they're appointed by the president, I mean, we're not talking about the ones that are acting, magistrates, some of them, tribunal court, other things by agency or thing. We're talking strictly about federal judges that are appointed by the president. So, Ms. Johnson, I talk about sometimes people think their ruling is going to be based on their political leaning, because most of the president appoint judges based on their political affiliation, right? As we see. So, what are your thoughts? What are you hearing about what people think about those judges?
And that's a great question, Dr. Williams. I think when we look at judge shopping and judgeship appointments, we look at that they have to fill out an application just like anyone else for the position. We also have to look at the process itself. It has to go through a scrutinized process. They have to go through investigations. They have to go through financial investigations, top official investigations from the federal government, from FBI, from the U.S. Justice Department to do the investigations. They got to go through taxes, IRS checks. They have to go through the same checks as everyone else when it comes to investigations of financial reasoning, financial gain. What can they do? How can they be persuaded? Also, then once they go through that, then they go through the Senate Judicial Committee on the United States Senate, and they scrutinize their credentials, look at everything, the qualifications to see. And what happens is the president appoints them, but they still has to go through the Senate Judicial Committee, and they has to go through a full Senate hearing. So, and it's very important because my goal is to become a federal judge too. So for the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. So, and what judges has to understand is they have to abide by the law, and they have to understand the law, and they have to interpret the decisions. Even though they may have law clerks and attorneys working with them, they still have to govern the law in accordance with the Constitution states. Now, when we look at judge shopping, for example, I could tell you the judge down in when we look at for example, the judge down in Florida, when it came to those classified document cases, how the case was on a halt by federal prosecutor Jack Smith. It was like, wow, the case was she just put the case on hold. But we also have to look at, hey, she was appointed, Judge Cannon was appointed by President Trump. So is she holding her political standings, or is she going by the interpretation of the law?
Right.
And it's important as federal judges to understand that they must follow the law, and they must ensure that regardless of their political affiliations, they must uphold the law in accordance with their oath when they taking an oath as a federal judge, as an Article 3 under the United States Constitution. They must ensure that they uphold the law. And we're looking at that when we look at Marbury versus Madison case. So it's important that judicials continue to uphold the law and not be persuaded by any political affiliations.
So yeah, so I mean that's pretty important. That's pretty concerning for many people. We have issues in Texas where the federal judge, people will take specific cases to Texas because they got a judge that is favorable to their political leaning and appeal other things, and they're being successful. The Chief Justice talked about that he won against Judge Shopping and just finding a judge that is favorable to their case, because what happened, you begin to lose confidence within the legal system. If you went this way, you get a better trial, and so many cases will go left, and other cases will just other part of the judicial system will have less cases, and we don't want that to happen. But yeah, it is concerning. I mean, the thing is, we got to understand when the case itself is political, like when we talk about Judge Kano and other things, people want these, cases to go very fast, but no one the cases take longer time to go through the system. But they probably want that now because of political reasons. They want the president to be qualified, they want him to be convicted and other things, the former president. But whatever the reason is, the judge, ready. If the defendant has a right to a speedy trial, but if it is supposed to jam so many things together, if the judge doesn't think that is appropriate, will serve the country well, to serve the client well, then it's that the matter of fairness. Is she going to let that happen? We got so many cases going on at the same time. So how you going to be in Maryland, DC area, and in New York, and then Florida, and so many places at the same time. Some of them he doesn't have to be, but he chose to be there in person. And so it become an issue. Thus, in the judge, if the judge feel that, well, I don't think he's going to get the best of his, trial. They could postpone the trial. They could change the time. And we may call it miscarriage of justice. We may say other things, other political allies may say she's doing it because she's not experienced or because she was appointed by him. But if she feels that what she's doing is not in violation of the law, then that's fine. And that's what we want them to focus on. Focus on the law and don't rush the case because it's going to certify the political atmosphere. We don't want judges to work to cater to the political atmosphere, because then that's miscarriage of justice. Okay, that's one thing we want to always be mindful of. And so we got to give her the benefit of the doubt to make sure that the case will still be here. So what happens if the case is here after the election? Is they going to change the fact if he become president? If the case has to be dismissed, it's dismissed. It's what it is. But the criminal case will still be prosecuted after he's left office. It's just going to be delayed. So the only reason people are saying they want it to be done now is because either they don't want him to be president, they want to have some political gain. And so the president, she has the right to decide, whether it's the best time to thing. And so judges got to play their cards right. It's difficult to be a judge, very difficult, and it's a good thing to watch what is happening right now in the legal field and in the political field. Because those things are very much mingled now. When you hear them saying it, make it look like the judge doesn't know what she's doing at all. And something else.
And also they can do, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Williams. Also, they can do a writ of mandamus.
Yes.
Where if federal prosecutor Jack Smith think, hey, well, she's not qualified or she's not competent to make those decisions, or not following through with the decisions of the case, specific decisions of the case when it came to those classified documents, that he can submit a writ of mandamus on and have her recused from the case. And say, hey, she's not, we need another judge, another new selection of a judge to come in and take over the case.
Right, he hasn't done that so far. And we have the appeal court that ruled I think 1 or 2 times. But so she still got it from a supervision. Again, the thing is, people are saying it's going to delay the case. She doesn't rule it. It goes to the appeal case, appeal court come back, appeal judges come back to her. It's delayed, but whatever the case is the law. She's playing with it. She, that's the law, that's the process. And another thing that concerns people in recent times has been, of course, the worst has been the abortion case, right? Everybody, those on the left and those on the right, and it's a serious political issue because the judges went back beyond 50 years, and they went against the Roe v. Wade, case, and so now everything like, oh well, we don't trust those judges anymore. They're saying they're going to rule in terms of the conservative view. Well, I mean, that's how they interpret the law. Unfortunately, that's what we have. We have to give them the credit. It is what it is. I mean, you can't, again, we talk about immunity in our other video. You can't go out and kill the judges because you don't like what they're doing. I mean, they're there for life. They got a lifetime appointment, and they were appointed to do their job, and that's how they interpret the law. Unfortunately,
especially with the case of Roe v. Wade, where where the U.S. Supreme Court used Dobbs versus Jackson to overturn Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization to overturn Roe v. Wade of their interpretation, and people like, hey, why they do this? Women should have rights to do make their own decisions. So, and I think overturning that with on top of other cases that are being decided in the court will delay a lot of those other cases. And people like sending in so many appeals and other decisions. The lawyers say, I'm going to send in my appeals after appeals. And it's like, okay.
I mean, they send it back to the state. And the states, the states are making that law. Sometimes it's so extreme, others not. And, but also we saw them ruling on the map of I think it was Louisiana or something like that. And so they are not always, leaning. Mostly, I mean, conservative, will give that conservative opinion often, but that's because that's how they interpret the law. But again, we trust that our judges will follow the law, and they won't do that because they were appointed by a particular administration, so they were catered on it. They will twist the law, make the law to be in favor of only those that appointed them. Because then you have about 50% of the country or 46% of the country that will be affected, and we have absolutely no confidence in the legal system. Again, it brings us to being in a country like our banana republic or developing country that surely have no respect for the law. We have a constitution, and we want, our judges, we like other law professors around, law students, want that their rulings and things to be within the bounds of the constitution and the precedent, the statutes, and other things we have, because that is what we teach in law school. We teach precedent, we teach these things, these cases that follow from lower court, up to the appeal courts and up to the Supreme Court. All of these are followed. So if they don't follow those things, then of course we have to try to give reason to the students, and it's kind of a little difficult. But we want to have confidence in our judges that they're going to do the right thing. Of course, humans are humans, right? Sometimes we err on other things, but we hope the Supreme Court do not have to revisit some of these cases in the future. They may, sometimes they happen, it's happened a few times, and sometimes they come back to revisit the cases. But we see some of the cases, they're deciding whether it's Roe v. Wade, they're coming back to the court. And that shows that it's still a hot-button issue in the legal system. Anyway, so that's how we feel about the judges. We just teach the law, and
they also got to look at too the judges. Any judge in any country, they also have to look at the importance of they're still human. They have to go home too. The safety of the judges is important. It is at stake because we've seen in our country where just former federal judge Joan Humphrey Lithgow, where her family was killed, assassinated because of a decision that she made over a VA case. And
That's sad.
People are taking matters into their own hands.
Right.
They're taking their personal justice. And sometimes it's not based on, oh, it's the judge's decision just based on just based on not no mere facts or evidence. What they had to do is interpret the laws with what they have in front of them. So it's not like they're pulling decisions out of hats and saying, I'm going to make it based on my personal beliefs. No, they're making it based on the law, and they should not be persecuted for it by having people to come against them or to come after them because of their decision in accordance with the law.
Well, that's true. I mean, we've seen that through a judge coming up, people going around his house, and other judges going after the Roe v. Wade. The thing, it doesn't change anything. You intimidate them. The law, they already made a decision. It's not, they're not just going to go back on it because you got people in front of the house. All you're doing is you want to have somebody hurt the judges, and that's not fair for them. We want them to be able to function according to, I mean, they trust, the country trusts the legislature's body, right? The Senate, the president is elected, he appoints his judges, and they pass the confirmation, and then that's how the process works. You can't go out and shoot them or protest in front of the house because of their decision. They if they didn't want that to happen, then your political party can win, but if they didn't win, I mean, it is what it is. That's how the country is set up. So again, when we teach the law, and we're not there to advocate, in second way or another. We have constitutional rights, and the process, we discuss the process of the courts, the federal court system, the law, we talk, it's the whole court system, we talk about that, the judges and other things, their immunity, the protection, and the idea that they follow the law, and that is what we focus on. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. We good?
You're welcome, Dr. William.
Well, you listener, you heard us again. Thank you so much. We're just giving some general opinion of what we share with our students. And thank you for listening. We'll see you on our next episode. Today, have a nice rest of the day, everybody.